doing the things you really enjoy, doing the things you're really good at. Obviously, it's a nice place to spend your time, and it's usually a pretty productive way to spend your time. So I'm going to talk about playing to your strengths. It's a basic concept, but funnily enough, it doesn't get focused on enough. So as you're doing your planning for next quarter and for next year, a couple of ideas. I'm going to introduce the principle of just a way of thinking about this, a way of looking at it, and then 3 incredibly straightforward steps that are likely to maximize, increase, and ideally maximize your productivity and also that of your team. So what we're going to talk about applies to you personally and indeed to your team. Years ago, the Gallup organization did a study of thousands of businesses, and they looked at their various management practices, development practices, and an interesting thing was uncovered. Not surprisingly, they found a lot of organizations, majority of organizations, tended in their practices to focus on helping people get better at their gaps, at their weaknesses. People doing their jobs in these companies, their development plans tended to focus on areas that they needed to improve. So it made sense. It's not a crazy idea. What they also found, though, was most productivity comes from areas of strength. That's where you succeed. That's where you achieve things. It's where you enjoy yourself more. It tends to be where you're more productive. And some of the most, successful organizations, they'd flipped it a bit. They actually focus more on areas of strength, making those stronger, using or deploying them more, focusing their people's time more into those areas. And that's the basic notion. It's people understanding, if you know where your zone of genius is, your unique ability, that thing that you are best at, or you're much more productive than other people, you achieve more. It's an important thing. If you focus more and more on your time and effort on those areas of genius, those unique abilities, those real strengths you have, then you're going to be much more productive. It's a shift in thinking. So I'm going to encourage you as you do your planning and the planning for your team. 3 steps to take. 1, for you and for your team. Get clear, invest some serious thinking. What are your and their strengths? What are those things that you are uniquely great at? Okay, that's the extreme version, the zone of genius, so to speak. What are those things you enjoy doing most? What are those things you've achieved the most with, had the biggest impact with, those real success stories you have or your team members have? Identify where those strengths are. The piece of work I talked about, the Gallup organization, there are various books. Marcus Buckingham wrote a couple that talk about that work. It's all about deploying your strengths. There's also the Strengths Finder, which you can do online or you can read the book. That helps you and your team to get a bit more specific, a bit clearer on actually what are your strengths. Not just at a superficial level, I'm good at sales, for example. But it might get down to, I'm very good at understanding our prospects' needs. I'm very good at presenting our capabilities in a way that attaches to the value that prospect will have. I'm very good as a manager. No, it's more detailed than that. I'm very good at coaching my direct reports such that they get the best out of themselves. Great. So now you're getting down to specific skills. So understand at the most precise level possible, what are your strengths and what are the strengths of your individual team members and indeed your team as a whole. Great. Get really clear. All of you are on board with it. All of you, you've written it down. You are very explicit about what are your strengths. Step 2, come up with a plan to get better at those things. If those are your strengths, they're probably also things you enjoy doing. They're things that you're making progress with, you're productive with, you're having success with. Most people are happy to spend more time in that. But first things first, if these are a strength already, double down on it. If you're good at this, become great at it. Read a couple more books on it, attend a course on it, get some coaching on it. In your development plan, part of it should be, how do I get even better at this? Because this is where you'll create the most productivity. It's where you'll create the most success, and it's probably where you'll be the most engaged and the happiest to be doing that work. So your development plan shouldn't, somewhere along the way, by the way, there might be some gaps and weaknesses you need to address. But first, start with, where am I strong? How do I get even better at that? How do I magnify that? How do I leverage that strength? And then the third and very simple step, make sure your plans have you focusing on that more. Investing more of your time, effort, and focus in those areas of strength. That might mean handing off some other work to someone else, delegating perhaps, redesigning a couple of processes in your team and your business so that your team members and you can put more and more of your time, energy, and focus into your areas of strength that you'll enjoy, you'll be productive, and it will maximize what you produce. It'll be a great way to achieve more in the next year, in the next quarter. You'll enjoy doing it. You'll achieve more. Happy Christmas. Enjoy it.